Good morning, everyone. Susan Gerbic from Psychics Explained. I released a video yesterday about John Edward and a shaman named Shaman Oaks, I guess his name. He had what he says is the best evidence, I guess. Well, this is the clip he uses to show that John Edward, the psychic medium, is not cold reading because of reasons. And so that video's gotten a lot of views, and I didn't link to I linked to, but I didn't give the evidence. I didn't do a breakdown of the reading that apparently the shaman thinks is such great evidence. I didn't do that because it was just getting really long, the video I had made. And so I'll do it today. So I've altered this video, obviously, so it makes it a little more obvious that it's fair use. Crossing over with John Edward was in the early 2000s, I think 2001 to 2005, somewhere around there. So this is an audience. It is John Edward's show. It is released on video later, so it's edited. And we don't know much more about it. We don't know if the people in the audience are plants. We don't know if they're people he knows that knows their story. We don't know what's going on as far as that goes. So just keep that in mind. So if you don't know anything about John Edward, just kind of keep that in mind. Just try to not have any knowledge of John Edward, I think, as you watch this clip. I'll interrupt it a couple times because it's 7 minutes long. And no, it's not quite 7 minutes long. It's probably 3 or 4 minutes long, but let's see what we think of it. We do know, and I think it's fair to remember that John Edward at this point has done thousands of readings. And so this isn't like a one-off where John Edward is just up there for the first time. This is his show. He has a TV show. And so personally, I think he's playing around with this guy for entertainment value. So let me show you, and I'm really interested in what you guys think.
They're telling me to tease you that they used to call you like Meatball, or that they called you like the Cookie, or you were known as the Pineapple, or they called you a food? I thought for sure you were going to get that.
Not to your face.
No, not to my face, right?
No, this was a common thing. No, this is like a little kid was known as this, and it stuck as he was. Somebody in the family was given a food name, and it stuck.
That's who you're talking about. You're talking about Chicky. That was his name. That was his nickname.
Chicken.
Oh, Chicken. I'm like, what the hell's a Chicky?
Yeah.
Remember the commercial, Come Home Tom, Chicken Livers?
I don't think you're old enough for that, John.
No, I'm just sitting there trying to think. I'm standing here trying to figure out, like, okay, what's Chicky?
His nickname.
His nickname was Chicky. His name was Thomas.
Yeah, I don't know if that's it.
Okay. Thank God.
Okay, so we know that this is a reading that is in progress, and that the John Edward show has, or the shaman who's showing, I'm taking it from his channel, is showing it. Somebody has clipped this to go to this part. So whatever he had said earlier to this person in the audience, I guess it wasn't a hit, or wasn't really important. So this is the important part, because this is the clip that he's talking about. The man in the audience has some girth on him. And I think that, I don't know, I just think it's cruel to be, because I know what John Edward's doing. He's just making this up. And he's playing on this guy's largeness to call him a meatball or a pineapple or whatever the other thing he said, that kind of slurry, kind of mean food related nickname that the kid has, the guy had as a kid. So from an audience perspective, not knowing what's going on and truly believing in mediumship, they're going to say, oh yeah, well, this heavy guy obviously probably had a nickname that was food related. So it's clear, is it not, that John Edward is trying to say that this man in the audience had a food-related childhood name. And John says, I was sure you were going to say that. So as the story's progressing and the guy's giving him pushback, saying, no, I don't know. Nobody ever really called me anything like that. John Edward is saying, no, I'm not quite getting. I think it's something else. It must be something else. Now, to Shaman Oaks, he's saying this is evidence that he's really in communication with the dead. Because as he puts on the screen, if it was cold reading, he would say, yes, that's what I'm getting. John Edward has a show to give. He has to make this entertaining. He wants to get laughs. He wants to, evoke memories and make people cry. He wants to have people have emotions. So he can tell right off the bat, and you also watching this from the seat of your computer or your phone, you can see the same thing. The man he's picked on in the audience, let's say he doesn't know him, is an entertaining kind of guy. He's a funny guy. He's quick on his feet. His wife has got that Gracie Burns and Gracie and George and Gracie kind of repertoire going on, and it's kind of fun. And he can see he's got a personality, so he's going to play on it in order to make the show better. Now, remember, all of these shows back then in the years that they used to do these shows, these gallery readings on people's, where they're doing readings to a mass audience like that, they record for an hour, 2 hours or more. And then it clips down to a segment, a show that's maybe if you take out the commercials, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and the rest of it is just like interjections and so on. Actual readings, maybe 20 minutes of the show that we're getting that's supposed to be an hour long. The commercials and all that kind of stuff's going on that fills up time. So he's got to find little clips. So out of this whole reading that he's done this day, all this gallery reading he did at first show, this is the stuff that he wants to show as, I don't know, relatable, funny, good evidence that he's in contact with the dead. I just don't think so. I think that John Edward is playing to the TV, trying to get, he just thinks he's found an interesting story. And he really wants to nail on this guy, this man who he has said, you had a childhood nickname that involved food. And the man says, no, I didn't. And then he says, you're talking, and then John said, well, who was it? That's cold reading right there. Who was it who had a nickname that was food related in your childhood? He didn't even say childhood. Anybody, I guess. Well, we don't know the beginning of the story, if it was probably childhood. And he goes, well, that's who you're talking about, Chicky. His real name was Thomas. So again, this is something that was earlier and cut out, because this now we're going to see is the good part. So just keep that in mind. John Edward said, you, man holding the microphone, had a child-related nickname that involved food. That was the statement he made, and gave him these kind of offensive names that were, rounded foods kind of things.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. I think it's another food. Like somebody was known as Lemonhead, or somebody was known as like eggplant, or somebody's known as pineapple, or are you sure somebody wasn't known as like egghead or lemonhead? I think this is a head reference. Like cheesehead.
Pothead?
Pothead?
Is that suitable for television?
Cut that, please.
No, that we're leaving in. No, it's not pothead. Okay, about to back up. Maybe this is going to help you. Did you ever see the episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where Ray accidentally tapes over his wedding video for the Super Bowl? What is the reference to taping over something of importance?
Our brother just did that. A brother who's still here just taped over our children's tapes growing up. Right?
Okay. That person that did that, is there a nickname for him besides what you might want to call him now? Like, did he have a food nickname growing up? Or did that person give your brother a food nickname?
Okay, this is getting a little confusing, so let's just recap. Firstly, John Edward keeps going to rounded, I think it's insulting, nicknames for food for this man who's in the audience. And then it becomes rounded nicknames related to somebody's head for somebody. And then when the guy says, well, maybe it's this Chick guy that he had, somebody named Chick, whose name is Thomas. He says, no, that's not it. It's somebody who taped over a video cassette. Did he say video cassette? Who has video cassettes anymore? Somebody who taped over a video cassette. That person had a name that was food related, a nickname is food related, especially about the head. Or he gave that nickname to somebody, a brother. I'm confused. I've seen this clip several times and I'm confused. What do you guys think? And as I said, this guy's funny. And so John Edward has to have a funny, he's going with the funniness and he has a good repartee with this guy. So you'll see in a minute that he continues with this man even longer. Okay, I'm just going to back that up for a second because I'm confused. And then this shaman person says, so the spirit world gives him something very specific to point him to the person with the food nickname. Something very specific is, according to this shaman, is that somebody taped over something, somebody's wedding or something important. Did he say it like that? Something important? Or did he say somebody's wedding? He said it was like the show where he taped over. You guys, come on now. If you've got a VHS with a bunch of your childhood memories on it, get it off the VHS. I mean, hello. At this point, it's early 2000. We have that capability. Do that. Okay. Let me watch this clip again. You guys tell me, because again, it gets confusing.
It's over his wedding video for the Super Bowl? What is the reference to taping over something of importance?
Our brother just did that. A brother who's still here just taped over our children's tapes growing up. Right?
Okay. That person that did that, is there a nickname for him besides what you might want to call him now? Like, did he have a food nickname growing up? Or did that person give your brother a food nickname?
Did that brother give this person a nickname? Kids give nicknames. Oh my gosh. All people have nicknames. Jeez. Okay. So it starts out with you in the audience holding the microphone had a nickname that was food related. Moved to who had somebody who had a food related nickname, especially about the head. And then it's not that Chicky guy. And then somebody taped over something important, like a VHS tape, used a VHS tape and recorded this couple's children's videos from when their kids were children. And that person either had a nickname that was food related or gave a brother a food related nickname. See, it's getting confusing. I'm confused. Like I said, I've seen this a few times. All right. Okay. We there?
Somebody known by a food nickname, like egghead, cheesehead, something would be edible or food related that somebody's nickname goes by.
I mean, I know his nickname came somewhat from food.
And that would be?
His nickname was Chick.
Gotcha. I was right, see?
It was Chicky, yeah. We called him Chicky.
You know, it's not hitting me.
Oh.
As much as like you're validating that, and I could be completely wrong, and I have no problem saying that because you know your family better than I do. It's not hitting me. Like, that's it. Like, I feel like there might be something else. Guys, I'm sorry to be like repeat myself for the 4,000th time here, but somebody's known by a freaking food nickname. He's talking about the connection to the school behind your house.
Uh-huh.
It's like of that time period.
Yes, the school behind your house.
Across the street from the house.
That's where he committed suicide.
That's
Shot himself.
okay.
Yes.
That area is what he's talking about. That's the area. That's the time period. This is the same school, and I have no idea what this is. Is there like a ritual, like we would all go and pee on the same wall?
The handball court, yeah.
There's like steps to go down to get into the school?
No, but that's where you went down to pee.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
All right, this is of the same time period where there's somebody who has the freaking food
And
name.
it's got to be Georgie.
It's got to be somebody that you're connected
Georgie
to.
Porgy Puddin' Pie.
Who's that?
That's
brother.
His little brother.
Is that what they
Puddin'
used to,
Pie.
they used to call him that?
Georgia
Yeah.
Porgy Puddin' Pie.
Yeah. I found it. That's got to be it.
If that's the case, which is the brother or who's the person that they used to think could fly?
That flied?
Who like thought they could fly?
Well, when he was doing what he was
Chicken
doing, he
thought he
always
could
said,
fly.
"Go fly, yeah.
No, I mean as a kid, like there should
I
be
think
like
Georgie played
there
Superman
should be
with
like
the
a
cape and stuff.
exactly. There should be like a
Yeah.
cape picture.
I think yes, there is a K picture.
You guys are a family of 7?
Okay, more confusion. So now he's pulled him and his wife up on stage because they're so entertaining that he wants to pull them up on stage. All right. So more evidence to me that this is a entertainment. He's trying to entertain the audience and they've got him laughing. And they, like I said, it's that George and Gracie kind of bit back and forth. Confusing. I'm confused. Maybe you guys aren't confused, but I'm confused. Now we're at okay. So there is a person out there with a food nickname, and it is very common for people who are cold reading to go back to the missus and hit him again and try again. That is common. It's not uncommon at all. And the so they've called up somebody named Margaret. I think it's a sister. And Margaret says that there was a guy whose nickname was food related, and that was Chicky. And the wife on stage lets out, Chicky. And he goes, no, it's not Chicky. It's something else. And then she says, oh, it's the puddin' pie thing. Georgie Porgy Puddin' Pie. And that was a nickname for somebody else now. We're not quite sure. And the shaman puts in that little note. Here's something very specific. And John Edwards says, was there a place you used to go pee in high school? A place behind. And then the woman lets out, that's where he committed. He unalived himself. I have to use that YouTube word, you guys. You know what I mean? Which is silly because you know what I'm saying. Just the word I can't say on YouTube. So she lets out that very important part of information. Now, I don't know if that came up earlier in the show and that's cut out. I'm surprised that John Edward doesn't go to that because that seems like that'd be the area he'd want to go. People in high school do really stupid stuff, and middle school too. And as she says, he says, was there a place you used to go to pee? It's like, I guess in the school grounds, a wall you used to pee on. Well, they're guys. Well, duh, of course. It's a cold reading statement that seems really funny and seems specific. And then he says, was there he says we used to go to the handball courts, and he goes, oh, well, did you used to walk down? He goes, no, but that's where we used to go to pee. So, that's a miss. And again, trying to keep from being too confused. Let's try this again.
6 and 7.
They count me as one. I've been around so long.
No, they're counting you as a family of
It
seven.
was a joke.
They're counting. They're saying
was
it's
a
a
family
family
joke.
of seven. Well, isn't somebody Thomas Michael?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So you're talking about?
He's Thomas Michael.
But
Yes.
so is my nephew.
Oh, right.
He's telling
My
me.
godson is Thomas
He
Michael.
wants me to acknowledge Thomas
Oh
Michael.
my God. This is Margaret, you hear this?
Yes, I do.
Yes, that's that's our godson. That's his nephew.
Wait a minute now. Chicky is Thomas. And John Edwards says, no, we're not talking about Chicky. So he comes back and he says, where are we now? Are we on the nicknames anymore? So if John Edwards known this, Thomas, what did he say? His name is Thomas Michael. Is that what it was? Thomas Michael. See how I've already forgotten 10 seconds ago. And he says, what? No, that's who you're talking about, Chicky. But Chicky isn't the person. And then she says, it's such a common name, Thomas Michael, that her nephew is also a Thomas Michael. So there's two Thomas Michael sitting in those two little chairs right there. That's how common the name is. John Edward has done thousands and thousands of readings. Okay, so names are related to each other as far as, how do I say this? Christopher Robin and Sarah Lynn and Susan Marie and they just had their history. People's names, Anne and Marie and Sue were middle names, and they have a pattern. It's not like his name was Jonathan Aloysius or something unusual. It's so common, Thomas Michael, that, like I said, both of these people, it relates to both of these people. So the woman says, you're talking about my nephew. My nephew, was it her nephew? His nephew. And okay. Sorry, guys. I keep doing this now. So what's this about a family? You're a family of 7. And she says, and they said there's 6. I think we've already counted quite at least 4, I think, just from the interview with them. And so there's 6. And she goes, no, I'm the 7th. That's the family joke, that I'm the 7th sibling. And he's like, kind of passes that over. Okay, let's look. I'm telling you, these are kept confusing for a reason, because the person who's the motivated sitter is listening to this and reading into it whatever they want to hear to give them the evidence that they feel like they have. But is that what John Edward is actually saying? Because I'm not sure I understand that is what he's saying. And I think he's got a lot of misses on this. You tell me, because that's what I think.
You're right.
6 and 7. They can fly.
Fly, yeah.
No, I mean as a kid, like there should
I
be
think
like
Georgie plays
no,
it
there should be
with
like
the
a
cape and stuff.
exactly. There should be like a
Yeah.
cave picture.
I think yes, there is a cave picture.
You guys are a family of 7?
You're right.
6 and 7.
They count me as one. I've been around so long.
No, they're counting you as a family of
It
7.
was a joke.
They're counting. They're saying
was a family
it's a family
joke.
of 7. Well, isn't somebody Thomas Michael?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So you're talking about?
He's Thomas Michael?
But
Yes.
so is my nephew.
Oh, right.
He's telling
My
me
godson is Thomas
he
Michael.
wants me to acknowledge Thomas
Oh
Michael.
my God. This is Margaret, you hear this?
Yes, I do.
Yes, that's my god. That's our godson. That's his nephew.
Okay, so her nephew, who's his nephew, who's her godson, is a Thomas Michael. And he wants me to acknowledge Thomas Michael. And all, the he's talking, John Edward is talking about, is the he that came up way earlier in the audience that has a nickname that's head related and food related, I think. This is very confusing. And Chicky's also known as, his real name is Thomas Michael. And Georgie Porgy Puddin' Pie is probably somebody named George in the family. And that's, we're not quite sure who that is and how he's relevant. Is he the one that died? I'm not quite sure. And who is it who thought he could fly? Every child ever. Right? Every child ever had wanted to fly with a cape. You put on a towel, and your mom would put a little, like a hook of some sort right here, a clothespin or something, and then they would pretend to fly. Every child ever. That's cold reading. That is blatant cold reading. And then they're so darn cute, you take a picture of them. So there is a photo. So even if there hadn't been a photo, he'd say, well, there is a photo. You just don't know where it is. And she goes, and the woman says, yeah, I think there's a photo. Of course there's a photo. Hands up, all you people out there who didn't think you could fly and didn't at some point in your life wear a cape, which was probably a towel or some a t-shirt or something around your neck, and that you plaster right here and you ran around the house or in the yard pretending you could fly with your arms out like this. Okay, now it gets weirder. So not only has he taken this guy to the audience and put him on the stage and called up his sister Margaret, I think it's his sister. Now they're going to be at his house. So this clip is getting older and edited to more and more. So John Edward has thought, oh, this is so interesting. This guy's so funny. His family's really interesting. Let's go to their house. So here they're going to interview him in his house. Okay, here we go.
Did you ever see the episode of Everybody Loves Raymond where Ray accidentally tapes over his wedding video for the Super Bowl?
We thought it was a blank tape, and we were taping I think it was either the VMAs, it was a music award. And he said, oh, who cares? It's just a tape. It was only us growing up.
You're kidding.
Yeah, that was the tape.
That's unbelievable that you guys let me believe Uncle Georgie did that all this time. Exactly. Blaming Uncle Georgie for this all this time. Your brother did it.
Yeah, but don't tell him I told you.
Like, did he have a food nickname growing up?
What I think the food thing was when I mentioned Georgie Porgy Puddin' and Pie. And that's where the food thing came in with Georgie.
Because we used to sing that to him when he was little. Georgie
right.
Porgy Puddin' Pie kissed the girls and made him cry.
And when the girls came out to play, Georgie Porgy ran away.
So what did you guys think of that?
What did you think of that? I think it was just confusing and unnecessary and nothing specific, and just more evidence of cold reading, and that this guy who has a TV show, John Edward, just ran with it for entertainment value. And that's what I think. I don't think there was anything at all that was specific. It's just all retrofitted in by people who are motivated, who are on TV and being pressured to come up with the goods and come up with some answers. And so they're searching their memory for something. So if I understand it correctly, the couple, the husband and wife that are on the show, have a child named George. And they sang a song to him when he was little, Georgie Porgy Puddin' Pie. And that George and his sister, who was sitting at the table, had wanted to record some award show And George said, here, just use this tape. It's just a bunch of videos from when you and I, were young. Just tape over that. And so that is the person who taped over the video, not some brother that they thought that the husband and wife thought it was. They thought it was this guy's brother, Chicky or something like that. And that George, his son, is the one that actually did it. And that George has a nickname, Georgie Porgy Puddin' Pie. Well, maybe he has that nickname, or it was just something they sang to him when he was little, and his name is George. And people make rhymes out of people's names. It's just kind of common. So going back to the very beginning, John Edward, in the audience, the very beginning, the man's holding the microphone in the back row. John Edward tells him, you had a nickname, a childhood nickname that was food related. And it was, he gave round objects, meatball, eggs, eggplant. You remember probably better than I do. And then it got into just, it was somebody whose name was a head thing, a round head. And then it became all those things. And he said, no, it's not me. I didn't have one of those. It was for Thomas Michael. Well, it was for Thomas, whose name was Chicky. And John Edwards like, no, it's not Chicky. And then he says, okay, well then who was it? And then it was this guy who had taped over the tape. And the dead really are coming back to tell us to like tattletale on somebody. If they're going to tattletale, can you give us some names? Like your son George taped over that tape. I mean, why is that relevant to people who died? I'm not buying it. You guys, this was just the longer it went on, the more just telling you this story is taking forever and trying to make it clear. It's just more added to the story. Oh, now it's her nephew, who's her godson, his nephew, her godson, who's the Thomas Michael, that is the one that they're talking about. No, it's the other guy who's the Chicky is the Thomas Michael. No, now there's 7 of you. No, there's 6, but you're the 7th because it's the family joke that we have 7. And what does it mean, a family of 7? Is that, or family of 6? Is that children, or are we including the parents? Are we including people who lived in the household? Are we including miscarriages and everything else? Trust me, you're including anything that makes it fit to make John Edward or whatever medium look good. That's all it is. So when these mediums throw out these kinds of things like, I'm seeing 3. Is there 3 in the family? Was there 3? It means whatever the sitter wants it to mean. Because it could be 3 sisters and 2 brothers. So a family of 5 siblings, but, and then the 2 parents, and then grandma lived with us. So that's 8. It's whatever you want it to be. This is so unspecific. So this Shaman Oates person who seems to think this is good evidence, I don't know if this is great evidence. I think it's awful. And I mean, his standards are pretty dang low if he thought that was evidence. How about John Edward just get up there and say, your son George, who used to say Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie, he taped over the video of you guys with your childhood memories when he was a child. He taped over that. He told his sister, go ahead and tape over that. And your brother who's dead, he's the one telling me that right now. And your brother who's dead, his name is whatever it ends up being. I don't even know if we ever got to that. It wasn't Thomas Michael, because Thomas Michael's Chicky, and Chicky is not the one we're talking about. See how confusing this is? We are sitting here with the ability to rewind it, back it up, rewind it, play it again, listen, think. I could have taken notes, which might have helped. I don't know. I would have had to draw like a diagram of little lines to who's who. And what's that got to do with them peeing on things? And ooh. And the story gets there eventually because they made it fit. It just took a while. You can retrofit anything into whatever you want to have something retrofitted into if you're trying to prove a point. And I'm trying to prove a point. The point is, this is confusing. And all these elements are brought in that have nothing to do with whatever it is he's trying to validate. John Edward is just trying to do a show. He's done thousands and thousands and thousands of readings, and he's entertaining himself just as well as he's entertaining the audience and trying to make a good show, a good clip. And who recorded that? They went to somebody's house and then got the story from them like that was supposed to be validating. It's TV, folks. That's all it is. It's TV. So I don't know. The reason why I brought this up in the first place is because some woman who used to work for Snopes, she calls herself a skeptic debunker, and that she changed her mind about mediumship based on this video that I just showed you, that this guy, Shaman Oaks, had put on his channel as evidence that John Edward is not cold reading. She changed her mind about mediumship because of that reading we just saw. And I no, no, absolutely no. There was nothing specific. It was cold reading and just pressing it until he finally got to the result. He wanted something to be the result, something interesting. No. And how does Georgie Porgy, is that, no, Georgie Porgy pudding pie? I guess it's a food related item. I guess. Okay. A pie. Georgie Porgy, I guess porridge. Kids get nicknames. Kids give each other nicknames. We come up with really funny little things we say about our kids and the people around us, the other kids. It's just nature. That's how we are. And if your name is George, there's a lot of different things you could say about a person whose name is George, and Georgie Porgy is one of them. It's cute. So I don't know how that kid felt about how George, the real George that's on the TV, how he felt about being on TV with everybody knowing about his Georgie Porgy pudding pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. Oh, and then he ran away. I don't know. I felt a little personal. I don't know. My kids would have absolutely not done it. No way. No way. Anyway, if you were as confused as I was, or did I get that totally wrong, please leave me your comments. I really appreciate it. Like and share. We're trying to get into the weeds of this to explain what is going on. And I think a lot of it is the psychology of the person who's listening, the person who's the sitter is trying to fit everything in, and they're going to make it fit somehow or the other. So, and then, help of the audience and the editing and other little things going on, make it kind of appear that way. But I think we just misremember. And as I said, we're trying to make it fit because we're motivated sitters. The guy's up on him and his wife are up on the stage, and they feel a lot of pressure to come up with something. And eventually they got there. Take care, everyone.